It feels like everyone I know is on something, like whether that's antidepressants, ADHD meds, anxiety pills, or now like fat loss injections. How did we become the most medicated generation in history? Nearly half of Gen Z have been diagnosed with a mental health condition, with anxiety, depression, and ADHD topping the list. And at least 1/3 of Gen Z reports taking prescription medication for their mental health. And it's a concerning trend of prescription drug misuse. So we got more people on these meds all before the age of 25, and it's more than any generation ever. I need to be clear about something up front. Some people genuinely do need medication, and I see it with my job. Mental illness is real and chemical imbalances exist, and medication can save lives. But I work in addiction and mental health, and I see both sides every day. And people med seeking who don't need them, we see it all the time. And there's people who do need them but got there through lifestyle choices that could have been prevented. And people who were prescribed pills when what they needed was structure, discipline, and better habits. I was on meds and I stopped taking them because I realized I didn't actually need them once I fixed my life and discipline and working out, getting clean, having good sleep, purpose. Like those eliminated 95% of what I thought required medication. So we're gonna get into about why Gen Z is so medicated, what's actually causing it, and the uncomfortable truth about lifestyle versus pills. We'll start with the ADHD medication because I think we all know someone that's prescribed one. I was prescribed it when I was like 11 years old. And they have increased 400% in the last 2 decades, and Gen Z has an ADHD diagnosis rate triple of what millennials had at the same age. Either there's an epidemic or we're just overdiagnosing and overmedicating. And people aren't just taking one medication either. Like many people are on multiple psych meds simultaneously, antidepressant plus anxiety plus sleep meds. Like that's a pharmacy, that's not treatment at this point. And Gen Z uses sleep aids at rates previous generations didn't approach until middle age, like melatonin, prescription sleep meds, over-the-counter sleep aids. We have chronic sleep medication use among teenagers and people in their 20s. It's like stacking buffs in games, and one buff for focus, one for mood, one for sleep, one for anxiety, except these are real chemicals affecting your actual brain, not temporary game mechanics. And what's so concerning about this, it is completely normalized. Like this can get brought up in everyday conversation. Like having a pill organizer at 22 is just completely normal now. Being on multiple medications is just like the standard. Nobody questions if this is actually okay. Baby boomers weren't medicated like this at 25, and Gen X was, and even millennials weren't to this degree. Something specific to Gen Z created this medication dependency. And it's not one cause at all. There's several factors that created just the perfect storm. When the pandemic hit during crucial development years for a lot of us, a lot of us isolated. Like that's all we really could do. And it disrupted education, trauma, loss of social development. And these had like real psychological impacts that showed up as diagnosable conditions. Constant social media use also literally rewired our dopamine systems, like it's cooking us. And our brains adapted to infinite scroll, constant stimulation, immediate gratification. And normal life feels unbearably understimulating by comparison. And the social media apps and the people, doing this stuff, they doubled down on this too. They saw how much engagement this stuff could get with reels and shorts, all that type of stuff. Every app is engineered to just hijack your attention, and your ability to focus naturally has been systemically destroyed by design. And then we get diagnosed with ADHD and prescribed Adderall for what's actually a learned behavior. Also, blue light before bed, I'm guilty of it. I sleep with my TV on sometimes. There's people who doom scroll till 3 a.m, TikTok until you pass out. Sleep hygiene is completely destroyed when you do that. And then you need Ambien or melatonin for sleep problems that you created through behavior. It's like games with predatory mechanics designed to keep you hooked, except instead of loot boxes, it's your actual cognitive function being exploited. And in therapy also became trendy, like as social media grew, which I mean, that's a good thing on paper. But many therapists quickly refer to psychiatrists for medication, and the pipeline from I feel anxious sometimes to here's a prescription is shockingly short. And there's people who know this and they abuse it so they can get Xanax and stuff like that. It's not too difficult. And drug companies know this too. So they successfully convince entire generations that normal human emotions require medication. Sadness is depression, nervousness is anxiety disorder, distraction is ADHD. Like they medicalized being human, and because they wanted money. I mean, come on now. And pills are easier than lifestyle change. Ultimately, that's the hard truth. Changing your diet, sleep, exercise, screen time habits, like that's hard work, and it's not easy. Taking a pill is much easier, and you think it might fix everything. So people just choose easy even when hard would actually fix the problem. And I did this for a long time. Even when I first got clean, I would still take trazodone and stuff like that for bed, and try to take like hydroxyzine, stuff like that for anxiety. And once I actually started to lean in on discipline and starting to change my habits and work towards my goals and feel fulfilled in my life and head towards something, a lot of that stuff just disappeared and my health was so much better. And I mean, man, it really works. And sometimes you gotta drag yourself through the mud and go through the trenches, man, to get to the root problem of why you might feel those emotions. And once you address the root problem and learn how to deal with that appropriately, the medication is no longer required. It's just, again, not everyone's going to take that route. A lot of people want to take the easy way out, and I completely get it. And here's the uncomfortable truth from someone who works in this field and has seen it. I know these medications pretty well at this point. There's a huge percentage of people on psychiatric medication and just, you know, more generic stuff like blood pressure medication, stuff like that. They have underlying lifestyle issues that cause their symptoms. And whether they're in their 40s, 50s, or 20s, or 30s, if you're sleeping 5 hours a night and scrolling TikTok and then wondering why you're depressed and anxious, sleep deprivation causes the exact symptoms you're being medicated for. But instead of fixing sleep, we just prescribe pills. Energy drinks for breakfast, fast food for lunch, nothing for dinner because you're not hungry. Like, your brain is running on garbage fuel. But sure, the problem is a chemical imbalance requiring medication. Humans evolved to move. If you sit all day and never exercise and wonder why you feel like shit, exercise is just as effective as SSRIs and it's probably the best antidepressant out there, and I will always stand on that. But nobody wants to hear it. It's like trying to optimize your character build while ignoring base stats. Like, you're stacking buffs while your health, stamina, and core attributes are just in the toilet. If you spend 8 hours a day on screens and have minimal in-person social interaction and then get prescribed medication for anxiety and depression, that's directly caused by isolation. If you have no purpose, no direction, no meaningful work or contribution, that existential emptiness manifests as depression. But pills can't give you purpose, only action can. From my work, people using weed daily or drinking regularly or going even harder with substances and then wondering why they're anxious and unmotivated, like you're treating symptoms of substance abuse with more drugs. It's actually insanity. And also, like, Gen Z is the leading demographic in the new weight loss drugs like Ozempic and GLP-1, stuff like that. 177% increase in the last year. And what people need to understand, like, that stuff's not a magic pill or a magic syringe. Like, your lifestyle has to align with that stuff for it to really do its magic. And it's just another way of people, you know, trying to shortcut stuff and not actually put in the work. And it's like, okay, well, if we didn't make certain life choices in the first place, we probably wouldn't need to get on it. I feel the need to clarify this one more time. I am not anti-medication whatsoever. It might sound like I'm coming off as that. I see the real difference between people who genuinely need it and between people who are on them now because of lifestyle choices or people that are just taking them for the completely wrong reasons. Like, an example of seeing people who genuinely needed them was when I worked with veterans for a bit and people who are struggling with mental health and addiction. I was specializing in veterans, and these were people who went to, like, the war in Afghanistan, Iraq, and they had blown people's heads off and saw their friends get killed and all types of crazy shit that none of us could even fathom. And they were genuinely diagnosed with certain stuff, PTSD and schizophrenia and other stuff like that. When you see people like that who struggle and can snap at any second, then you realize, okay, yeah, those people need it. You see someone else who scrolls till 3 a.m. and eats like shit and then blames everyone else for their problems. They probably don't need it. But I mentioned my own experience with medication earlier, and it directly informs my perspective on this, along with the job that I've worked in. I was prescribed Adderall and antidepressants, anxiety medication. I was prescribed, like I said, like at 11, and then when I was first getting clean or first went to treatment, you know, I was given antidepressants, anxiety medication, stuff like that. It made sense at the time, and I was coming out of addiction, dealing with trauma, struggling with mental health. The meds were able to help initially, but I started noticing something, like when I worked out and started really getting my goals and getting my life together, and I was eating right, I was getting enough sleep and had purpose again. I felt better than the meds ever made me feel. And the meds were just treating symptoms of a shitty lifestyle that I've now broken free from. And I tapered off the medication. I stopped doing it. And you know what? Like, I was completely fine, better than fine, because I'd built a lifestyle that supported mental health naturally, and I haven't needed anything since. Doing the gym sessions, trying to work on my business, consistent sleep schedule, eating real food, having purpose through content creation as well, building genuine relationships, discipline, structure. Like, these did more than medications ever could. It's like building sustainable resource systems in games instead of relying on consumables. Consumables will run out, but systems will last. And now this is my experience. Some people genuinely need medication long term for certain stuff. People are born or develop diseases and conditions that they can't help. But I've seen too many people on meds who could fix the underlying issues instead of treating symptoms forever. We should not be having this statistic for Gen Z, because this is going to cause bigger issues as we go on and as Gen Z gets older. Working in this field, I see the pattern constantly. Lifestyle dysfunction, getting medicated rather than addressed. it's easier to prescribe than to help someone rebuild their entire life. And what I've observed working in mental health and addiction, there's a dark side that no one talks about, where some people aren't seeking treatment. They're coming there and seeking medications. They don't care about being there. And they research symptoms and present the right complaints and get the prescriptions they wanted. And they do this, people do this with doctors all the time. And as we know, stimulants, benzos, opiates, like, they're all incredibly addictive. And they're prescribed like candy, and they still are till this day. And I've seen people doctor shop until they get medications they want. I've even done it myself. It's like players who exploit game systems for easy rewards, and technically within the rules, but clearly not for the intended use. And this med-seeking behavior makes it harder for people who legitimately need medication. Like, doctors become skeptical, regulations increase, and access becomes more difficult. It's the same thing with, you know, government assistance and all that stuff. That's a whole nother topic, but you get the point. We need to have an uncomfortable conversation. How many people are on psychiatric medication that actually need it versus how many are self-medicating lifestyle problems or seeking drugs legally? So what would be the solution going forward? Because clearly just prescribing more medication isn't working. It's not gonna work. If you're someone who struggles with this, I feel for you. And before medication, try lifestyle intervention. 3 months of consistent sleep, exercise, diet, and reduced screen time. If symptoms persist, then consider medication. And doctors on their end, I get it, some of them it's their job to prescribe meds, but they need to ask harder questions, like how much do you sleep, exercise, screen time, diet, social connection. Like, if those are all terrible, maybe fix those before prescribing anything. I think a problem is too, is young people who underreport as well, like their actual symptoms or what they're dealing with mentally. And sometimes people just got to be honest with themselves and look at the hard truth. Are you actually trying to fix your lifestyle, or do you want pills to make you feel better while you continue destructive habits? For a huge percentage of people, discipline would eliminate the need for medication. Discipline with sleep, exercise, diet, screen time, and that's harder than pills, but it actually works. It's like fixing your character build versus relying on exploits. The fix requires effort but creates sustainability, and exploits are easy but eventually get patched or stop working. And medication should be for when lifestyle changes aren't enough, not instead of lifestyle changes, and not as first-line treatment for normal stress. I think part of it too, if you have like a low self-esteem and you doubt yourself a lot, or you feel like you're not capable of doing things in life, actually implementing healthy lifestyle choices and sticking to that goal, you're going to feel a lot better about yourself, and you're going to be proud of yourself and realize you can do a lot more than what you really thought. And Gen Z is the most medicated generation ever, and it's not entirely our fault. The world we grew up in systemically destroyed sleep, attention, social connection, and physical health. Like, the progress we've made in our society and the stuff that's just very normal today now is not meant for natural humans, and it takes us out of our natural element. And so it kind of explains why we're seeing these type of statistics and why so many people feel a type of way. But there's personal responsibility here too, especially because we're aware of this stuff now. You can't scroll TikTok until 4 a.m., eat garbage, never exercise, and have no purpose, and expect pills to make you feel okay. I'm living proof that lifestyle changes can eliminate the need for medication in many cases, and there's so many people who are also living proof. And it's not all cases, but many, probably more than we think. If you're on medication and haven't tried genuinely fixing your lifestyle, just try it. 3 months of discipline and just see what happens. I think you'd be very surprised, because pills can treat symptoms, but they can't give you purpose, discipline, health, or meaning. Only you can build that, and building that might eliminate the need for pills entirely. So anyways, y'all, thank you for watching, and remember, medication is a tool and not a substitute for a life well lived. Peace out.